equals the sun hung low in the sky, drowning the horizons of Harborview, California in a tapestry of gold, rich oranges, and soft purples. I leaned against the weathered railing of the pier, the salty breeze tousling my hair like an old friend. Down below, the water swirled lazily, the reflections dancing like flickering fireflies on a summer night. It was mesmerizing. Yet for all its beauty, the water held my secrets, many of which swirled more chaotically than the gentle tide. With every exhale, I could almost taste the regret that colored my memories. "Hey, Alina, you sure you're all right?" David called from behind me, his deep voice breaking through the tranquility. I turned, forcing a smile as I took in his tall frame, the way the last rays of sunlight skimmed across his sandy hair. David always looked effortlessly handsome, and I felt a flash of jealousy tinged my thoughts. Why couldn't I be so carefree? Why did I have to wear my past like armor? "Yeah, I'm fine," I replied, even as the words felt heavy on my tongue. I could tell David didn't buy it, and I hated how easily he read me. Still, I couldn't let him in on the truth, not now, not when my thoughts were swirling around a plot that was as murky as the very waters shimmering below us. He stepped closer, his brow furrowed in concern. "You've been standing out here for a while. It's getting dark. You sure you want to be alone?" "I like it here," I insisted, my voice slightly sharper than I intended. "The water helps me think. Okay, but just remember how cold it gets when the sun dips." He chuckled lightly, attempting to lighten the mood. "Just last week, I mistakenly thought that 20 minutes of standing outside would be fine. Let me assure you it was not." I allowed myself a genuine laugh, the sound bursting from my lips and surprising me. It felt good to let the tension slip away for a moment. "You and your amazing life choices," I teased, leaning further against the railing. He grinned back at me, and for a second I felt the weight of my plan lighten. Maybe he could help me keep me grounded. I thought I was brave. Turns out I'm just cold. Bravery and cold are just two sides of the same coin, David, I quipped, turning my gaze back to the horizon. The sun was nearly dipped below the water, the amber sky a reminder of the warmth I felt. But as I looked into the distance, I couldn't shake the bitter chill that had settled deep within my bones. "Hey, don't get lost in thought on me," David said, his voice lowering. "You know I worry. Just promise you'll tell me what's going on, right?" A tug in my gut reminded me that he cared, and my heart fluttered with guilt. "I promise." But it wasn't a promise I planned to keep. It was one thing to share a laugh, but sharing my plans for revenge, no. That was personal, and I didn't intend to bring anyone else into my web of betrayal and deceit. David took a step back, his body language relaxing slightly but still radiating concern. "All right, if you say so. Just don't forget what I said last week about that place down by the dock. They say the fishermen are catching big ones. What if we went out tomorrow? Let's see if we can actually get you some fish for once." I snorted, shaking my head. "I think I caught a cold last time we went, not a fish," I replied, "but I appreciate the offer. Just trying to make sure you're living life to the fullest," he said with a guilty chuckle, "and enjoying time with your lovable friends." I rolled my eyes playfully, even as he stepped in closer again, a frown returning to his features. "Seriously, though, let me know if you need anything. You can talk to me. You don't have to carry this alone." There it was again, that lingering warmth from his concern, but it also made me feel trapped because I was about to commit an act that would sever the fragile bond I had with him. "I will, I promise," I said, but again, it was just words, promises wrapped in a lie that I planned to break. We stood in silence as the sun finally sank beneath the horizon, leaving behind a quilt of starry sky. I felt a wave of nostalgia wash over me. As a child, the nights were filled with stories of the stars. My grandmother would sit out on the porch, and with each constellation, she would weave tales of adventure, mischief, and love. But now, the stars felt different. They mirrored the darkness inside me, the longing for a resolution that could only be found in revenge. David sighed, breaking the spell of reminiscence. "Well, Mrs. Graves, I suppose I should let you be. The water would be thrilled to hold onto a lovely lady such as you if you stay forever," he teased before glancing down the pier, where the lights of the town flickered in and out like a bad signal. "But I'd rather not swim out to save you. I'll have to flex some muscles if that happens." "Ha, you would need a lifeguard," I shot back, a mischievous smirk forming on my lips. "Besides, I'm not losing that battle to the water. It is the one thing I refuse to let drown me. I'm stronger than that. Just keep that strength for when you need it, all right? I'll catch you in the morning." "Sure," I said, hoping that tomorrow would take me one step closer to my revenge. As David walked away, the shadows wrapped around me like a comforting cloak. A deep breath filled my lungs as I surveyed the darkening water. I was ready. The secrets that rested within its depths were ready to resurface. With a heart that wrestled between two opposing forces, vengeance and guilt, I pulled my phone from my pocket. The screen flickered to life, and my heart thrummed a nervous rhythm in my chest as I navigated to the name that brought both fear and exhilaration. Jacob. Once upon a time, he had been my friend, someone to confide in. The betrayal that followed stung like salt on an open wound. He had crushed not just my heart, but also the trust I had nurtured in him. Our bond had been severed, and the remnants lay scattered across the landscape of my mind like broken glass. A lump formed in my throat as memories rushed in, unbidden and relentless. I felt the heat rise to my cheeks as I replayed the scene in my head, the night Jacob had thrown away everything we once had. The betrayal had felt like a dagger twisting deeper and deeper with each word I had heard that day, and that wound had only festered and deepened over time. With one swift motion, I typed out a message. "We need to talk tonight." The text was brief and cryptic, just enough to lure him in. I hit send and leaned against the railing, the wood cold and rough against my back. I could almost hear the waves whispering promises of justice. Jacob had toyed with my life, stripped away my happiness, and left me in the wreckage of our shared memories. Tonight, it would all change. I didn't wait long before my phone chimed with a response. "Elena, is everything okay?" I felt a slight smirk pull at my lips. He already knew something was off. "Meet me by the red boat at 11. What's going on?" He pressed, but I did not respond. This was my moment to take control. With each tick of the clock echoing into the evening, my heart raced in tandem with the waves lapping at the edges of the pier. I could almost taste sweet revenge on my tongue, a delicate mixture of anxiety and delight. I was a storm brewing, and soon the tides would turn. As the hour approached, I took one last look at the darkened water. I took a deep breath, feeling the chill seep into my bones. It was time to embrace the darkness, to confront the ghosts that had haunted me for too long. "Tonight is the night," I whispered into the brisk night air, my heart pounding hard against my ribcage. The pier became quieter, the whispers of distant laughter fading into the night. I could feel the world around me shift as the reality of what I planned to do weighed heavily upon my shoulders. But I would not falter, no matter what Jacob said or how he tried to twist the truth. No more sweet words or empty apologies. Tonight was not just about confronting him, it was about reclaiming my worth, my voice, and my life. A new chapter was about to begin, and the storm would leave its mark one way or another. The water shimmered under the moonlight, casting odd shadows on the wood beneath my feet as I waited. I could feel my heart racing, thundering in my ears, drowning out everything else. It was only a matter of time before he arrived. I would stand my ground, and I would make sure he knew the lengths I was willing to go to reclaim everything he had taken from me. As I waited, I could feel every ounce of my determination rising, fueled by anger, hurt, and ultimately, the desire for justice. And in that moment, I knew that tonight's encounter would be one I would never forget. The morning sunlight filtered through the sheer curtains of my apartment, illuminating the dust motes that danced in the still air. I sat on the edge of my bed, heart pounding like a drum in my chest, as memories from last night's confrontation with Derek played on repeat in my mind. The anger that buzzed just beneath my skin was a fire proving harder to extinguish than I had anticipated. The room was filled with a thick silence, save for the faint sound of waves crashing against the rocky shore just a block away. The ocean had always been my escape, my sanctuary, but today it felt different. The tide felt darker, ominous, as if echoing the storm brewing inside me. I ran my fingers through my hair, catching a glimpse of myself in the mirror across the room. My reflection showed a woman who had been through a lot, tired eyes framed by heavy lids, strands of hair that fell in disarray across my forehead, and a frown etched on my lips that wouldn't budge. I needed to get a grip, I needed to focus. Grabbing my phone from the nightstand, I opened the group chat for my old college friends. "You guys want to meet at the pier for lunch?" I texted, hoping for distractions. Almost immediately, my phone buzzed with responses. "Yes, count me in. I need a break from my boring life," replied Julia, always the enthusiastic one. "I'm in too, but only if we get those amazing garlic fries," Sean responded, and I couldn't help but chuckle at the mental image. "Let's meet at noon," I typed back, tossing the phone aside, aligning my focus back on Derek. I recalled the way his smirk twisted with arrogance as he told me that I was just a bitter girl with a grudge. The nerve. I had once thought of him as someone I could trust, someone who respected my dreams. But now he was just a shell of the man I used to admire, replaced by a cruel version fueled by ambition and ego. My heart twisted at the thought of what he had taken from me, my confidence, my dreams, a piece of me I was still trying to reclaim. The anger flickered and surged, demanding attention like a dog tugging at a leash. I stood and paced around the small space, deciding what to wear. My closet was filled with outfits I had meticulously curated over the years, clothes that showed off the vibrant, confident woman I used to be before Derek had trampled on my self-worth. I needed armor today, something that reminded me of my strength. I finally settled on a fitted blue dress that hugged my curves just right, just enough to make me feel like I could walk into that restaurant and command the room. After a quick shower that felt too long, I slipped into the dress and whipped my hair into a tight bun, forcing myself to gaze into my own eyes in the mirror. "You are stronger than this," I muttered, trying to summon all the positivity I could. But the doubt echoed back, whispering that I was nothing but turmoil and unresolved anger. No more. I was done drowning in self-pity. Derek may have knocked me down, but I was ready to stand back up stronger than ever. I grabbed my handbag and pushed the door open, the salty breeze hitting my face like a refreshing splash of a wave. The air smelled of salt and freedom, carrying the distant sound of seagulls cawing in the sky above. Each step I took was accompanied by the rhythmic sound of my heels on the pavement, a steady reminder of my resolve. When I arrived at the pier, a charming restaurant that overlooked the ocean, I spotted Julia and Sean already seated at a table on the patio. They waved eagerly as I approached, their smiles wide and genuine. Alina, you look amazing. That dress is stunning, Julia said, her eyes sparkling with admiration. I felt a flush of warmth rise to my cheeks, the tension within me easing just a little. Thanks, I thought I'd dress up a bit, to fight my demons, I replied, trying to laugh it off. Good idea, what are we fighting today? Sean joked, leaning back in his chair with an exaggerated pose. Is it Derek again? Should we bring out the pitchforks? His laughter filled the air, infectious and liberating. It reminded me that life could still be fun, that I didn't have to give in to the darkness. Very funny, Sean. I rolled my eyes while taking a seat. He thinks he can control everything. It's like he doesn't care who he hurts in the process. My voice dropped to a whisper, the weight of my words pressing down on me. Julia reached out to clasp my hand, and I felt comforted by her touch. You are so much more than what he says you are. You can rise above this, she urged. Her encouragement came as just what I needed, a reminder that I had friends who believed in me, who would rally beside me in my fight. I just need to find a way to make him understand, I replied, my voice steady. To show him that he can't just tear me apart and walk away unscathed. The determination flowed through me, each word fueled by the anger that had become my motivator. Have you looked into how he's been running his business lately? Sean asked, flicking a fry from his plate into his mouth. I heard Grip Group has been making some questionable partnerships. His brow furrowed as he contemplated his next words. You could use that. I leaned forward, intrigued. Are you saying I should dig into his business dealings? Like find dirt on him? I could feel the adrenaline kicking in, but that could backfire. Think about it, Alina. If you find something legitimate, you could hit him where it hurts. Business is everything to him. This could give you the leverage you need, Julia added, her expression serious but supportive. What if he finds out that I'm investigating him? That could turn nasty, I said, feeling a rush of unease. My heart raced as the idea formed, both thrilling and terrifying. Then let him. Sean shrugged, his demeanor casual as if talking about the weather. You're capable of handling it. Besides, he's already shown you how low he can go. What's a little dirt slinging if it brings a little justice back into your life? Their words washed over me, pulling me under a wave of emotion. The prospect of consequence hung in the air like a storm cloud, and yet part of me felt liberated by the idea of fighting back. My fingers danced over the polished table as I considered my options. Was I ready to risk everything to expose him? The ambition flickered in my mind, daring me to take that step into uncertainty. Okay, but how do I even start? I don't even know what to look for, I said, biting my lower lip. Julia's eyes lit up with excitement. I know a guy, an old friend from college who works in business consulting. He can help you dig up information. I can reach out to him. Seriously. You really think he will? I asked, a mix of hope and skepticism dancing in my tone. Absolutely, this could be the chance you've been waiting for. Just let us help you. Julia squeezed my hand tighter, her determination beginning to fuel my own. We finished our meal, laughter spilling over the table like sunshine in the midst of clouds. But even as we joked and talked, a darker thought loomed in the back of my mind, the suspicion that I might be stepping into dangerous waters. Just like the ocean I loved, it was full of secrets and uncertainty. After lunch, as I walked back to my apartment, I felt a shift inside me. The rage that once felt like a tempest was transforming into a focused storm, ready to unleash its power when the time was right. As I approached my door, I could feel my heart racing in anticipation of what my next steps would be, and the possibilities of how to use Derek's hubris against him. Once inside, I pulled out my laptop, fingers humming over the keyboard as I began to type. How to investigate a business, I searched, a sense of determination sparking inside me like a lit fuse. I was ready to turn the tide. The wheels were in motion, and I finally felt the control I had lost slipping back into my grasp. Just as I was getting lost in the sea of information online, my phone buzzed again, snapping me out of my concentration. It was Julia. He replied. You can meet him tomorrow. His name is Mark, and he's eager to hear your story. My heart raced at the possibility. Thank you for this, Julia, I texted back, realizing how crucial this was for me. The thought of facing Mark was exhilarating, yet terrifying. There was so much I needed to uncover, so much I needed to make Derek see that I was not a victim, but a problem he had underestimated. I couldn't ignore the fear creeping back in, but I banished it with a steely resolve. I would not let my past cloud my future. Not anymore. I sat on my couch, the weight of the world gradually lifting off my shoulders like a fog receding at dawn. There was still a long road ahead of me, but for the first time in a while, I could see the path clearly. I could feel the storm gathering power within. It would only be a matter of time before it broke, and when it did, Derek would be caught in the downpour, just waiting for the tide to turn. The streetlights flickered like distant stars trapped in a tide of darkness, each dim flicker matching the turbulent emotions swirling within me. It was a Friday evening, and I was on my way to meet Lily, my old friend and perhaps my only ally left in this tangled mess of betrayal and revenge. The chill of the coastal air nipped at my arms, the salty scent of the sea mingling with the smoke that wafted from food carts along the pier. Before me stretched the Harborview boardwalk, glowing in soft luminescence, welcoming yet hiding the bitterness of a past I could not escape. As I approached our usual meeting spot near the old oak tree with its thick, gnarled branches, I could see Lily pacing back and forth, her dark curls bouncing against the cool night air. She looked up as I drew nearer, her expression shifting from worry to relief. Without uttering a word, she surged forward, wrapping her arms around me in a tight hug that felt more like armor than comfort. I was starting to worry you weren't going to show, she said, pulling back to glance at me with her bright brown eyes. Why would I back out now? I said, trying to inject humor into my voice as I gestured to a nearby bench. We are definitely not finished with everything that has happened. She settled next to me, her fingers nervously plucking at the fabric of her jacket. I mean, I get that. It's just, what does it involve? You never really told me how intense this revenge plot of yours is going to be. I swallowed hard, feeling the weight of my intentions. The truth was heavy on my heart, almost suffocating, yet it spilled out of me like a dam bursting. I know what Ryan did. I know about his lies, his deceit. I can't just stand back and let him walk away like he's free of all this. I get it, Lily said, nodding slowly. But it could get dangerous, Alina. Are you prepared for that? Because once you cross that line, there is no turning back. The sound of the ocean waves crashing against the rocky shore provided a rhythmic backdrop to our conversation, almost as if they were echoing my internal conflict. I took a deep breath, steadying myself as I stared into her eyes. You should know I already crossed that line when I found out, when I saw him with her. It broke me, and now every part of me wants him to feel what I felt, that hole in my chest gnawing at my insides. Lily frowned, and I could sense her hesitation. What about Ethan? He doesn't deserve to be in the middle of this. You can't just drag him along for the ride. A chill swept over me at the mention of Ethan. Sweet, innocent Ethan, who had no idea about the darkness that gripped my heart. He is not involved. This is about me and Ryan. I won't let him take anything else from me. Not my peace, not my happiness. I want him to lose everything he cherishes, just like I did. I don't like this, Lily said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. I thought you were going to heal, not sabotage everything. I am healing, but I can't just sit by while he's living a perfect little life pretending nothing happened. I deserve justice. In that moment, the wind picked up, rustling the leaves overhead in a haunting melody. The world around me faded, leaving nothing but the fierce determination in my heart. I could see Ryan's face clearly, his handsome features twisted into a mocking smile, the way he would pull me close and whisper sweet nothings, all while he was planning his escape from the wreckage he had caused. Lily exhaled slowly, her shoulders slumping slightly. So, what is your plan then? Lay it out for me. I leaned closer, feeling the adrenaline kick in as the thrilling prospect blossomed in my mind. I want to expose him. I want everyone to know what he truly is. It starts with gathering evidence, showing people the real Ryan, the one who breaks hearts and leaves chaos in his wake. Her eyes widened. Evidence like what? You cannot mean photographs or recordings. That's illegal, Alina. I nodded, a wicked grin creeping across my face. Maybe, but that's the point. His fear will eat him alive once the truth surfaces, and who's going to believe his lies when people see him for what he truly is? I want him to think twice before he tries to play with my life again. I hope you know how dangerous this gets. What if he turns it around and makes you look like the bad guy? She warned, her tone shifting as the gravity of my intentions settled like a stone. Let him try. I have nothing to lose, I said defiantly. I felt fired up, ready to take on the world and reclaim what belonged to me. Just then, my phone buzzed in my pocket. The suddenness of it sent a shiver down my spine. I reached for it, wondering if it was the message that would set everything in motion. When I pulled it out, I saw Ryan's name glaring back at me, and my heart sank for a fleeting moment, twisting my insides. Lily arched an eyebrow, clearly curious. What did he say? I opened the message, squinting against the glow of the screen. Can we talk? I think we should meet. My heart raced at the thought of his smug face wanting to convince me that things could be normal again. What a joke. I am not talking to him, Lily. What could he possibly say that would make this better? Yeah, but it might be worth knowing his angle, she replied cautiously, her worry mingling with encouragement. You might learn something, like what his plan is now that he thinks you're out of the picture. I frowned, chewing on the inside of my cheek as I processed her words. What do you mean, his plan? Lily glanced at me, a glimmer of something bright and hopeful in her eyes. He might think he can win you back, or even if he's with someone else, he could be scheming and plotting like you. You could use that to your advantage. Let him think he's still so charming and clever. Use that information. Her logic stuck in my mind, swirling like a tempest. I finally dared to respond to Ryan. Fine, I will meet him. I will play his little game. I typed quickly, my fingers trembling as I hit send. Sure, where and when? A few seconds later, my heart beat erratically as his reply came in. How about the old cafe by the docks tomorrow at noon? Lily let out a breath she was holding, her expression a mixture of relief and apprehension. Are you sure about this? You have to stay strong, no matter what he says. Ready, I replied, my voice barely masking the fury bubbling beneath my calm exterior. Okay, then let's think this through. She leaned toward me, her eyes narrowing with focus. What do you want to get from this meeting? What are you hoping he will reveal? I want him to realize that I know. I want to see the fear in his eyes when he understands that I'm not the naive girl he once toyed with. I want him to feel cornered. Lily nodded, the sparkle of determination filling her gaze. Then let's make a plan. You need to go in with a strategy. We cannot leave anything to chance. We can rehearse if you want. I chuckled darkly, imagining myself playing the role of the deceived partner seeking closure. What a perfect role reversal. We We spent the next hour brainstorming every possible angle and scenario. I could almost envision the cafe's worn wooden booths, the smell of burnt coffee pervading the air while I sat across from Ryan, cool and collected. Each painful recollection fueled my resolve, painting over my heart with armor that would not crack under the pressure. When we finally wrapped up, a cool breeze rustled through the branches above us, the leaves whispering secrets of an impending storm. But it was not just the weather that heralded change, it was the electricity in the air, the kind that hinted at chaos looming just beyond the horizon. Get some sleep, Lily said, standing up and rubbing the back of her neck. You need to be sharp tomorrow. I agreed and walked with her toward the parking lot. A part of me felt lighter, yet deeper down, a storm was brewing. It churned and swirled, pulling me under its chaotic waves until I could hardly breathe. As I watched Lily drive away, a mix of gratitude and dread coursed through me. Tomorrow I would face Ryan. Tomorrow I would rise to reclaim the shattered pieces of myself that he had stolen away. I wrapped my arms around myself, feeling the chill of night seep through my skin. Somewhere within me, a fire ignited, and I knew with certainty I was ready to become the storm that would bring this calm to an end. The fog hung low over Harborview, wrapping the town in a cloak of gray as if the universe itself was grieving. I stood in the shadow of the old pier, the creaking wood beneath my feet echoing the turmoil inside me. The salty scent of the ocean mixed with the dampness in the air, filling my lungs with the heavy weight of memories, memories that I had worked so hard to push aside. My heart raced as I recalled my confrontation with Marcus just days earlier, the adrenaline still surging through my veins. Alina, you don't know what you're doing, he had said, his voice laced with a mix of frustration and fear. You think revenge is going to heal your wounds? I remembered the smirk on his face, the way he tossed his head back as if I was just an ant beneath his boot. You think you can just ruin my life because I made a mistake? The words had cut through me like jagged glass. That mistake had cost me everything. I pulled my jacket tighter around myself as I paced, the wind whipping through my hair and stinging my cheeks. This was my territory, and I had to reclaim it. I glanced across the water, where the sun had started to peek through the clouds, casting a golden light over the waves. Water like spilled gold, but it did nothing to warm the icy grip of vengeance tightening around my chest. I needed to finish what I started. The plan had started so simply, just a whisper of an idea in a moment of weakness. But with each passing day, it evolved into something far greater, something darker. I took a deep breath and let the salty air fill my lungs, letting the chill remind me of the stakes. I had made my decision and there was no turning back. Looking down at my phone, I saw a message from Jordan, one of my few allies in this tangled web. Are you ready for tonight? It read. I drew the phone closer, feeling my heartbeat in my throat as I typed back. More than ready, let's finish this. Glancing at my reflection in the darkened water, I barely recognized the woman staring back at me. I felt like a tempest, a raging storm brewing within, guided by a relentless desire for justice or perhaps something even more primal, revenge. I could almost hear Marcus's laughter ringing in my ears, a taunt I knew too well. He had flipped my life upside down, and now it was my turn to break his. Candles flickered at the dockside, casting eerie shadows as I trudged through the gathering dusk. The weight of my mission settled heavily on my shoulders, an anchor that threatened to pull me under. My steps quickened as I approached the old lighthouse, once a beacon of safety, now a monument to all my fears. Dark overtook the horizon. I could see the silhouette of Jordan waiting for me, his figure outlined against the flickering light of a lantern dangling from the wrought iron gate. Alina, he called out, his voice warm, cutting through the cold air. You made it. He had always been supportive, my unexpected pillar of strength. You ready for this? His eyes searched mine, trying to gauge my resolve. I have to be. My voice sounded steadier than I felt, but I knew if I wavered now, everything would unravel. The wind carried the salty scent, mingling with the earthy smell of damp wood, and I glanced around for any sign of Marcus or his crew. The guys are all set up on the beach, he said, his tone lowering as if we were sharing a secret. They have your back. Just the thought of confronting Marcus, of pulling the rug out from under him, caused a rush of warmth to spread through me, but I quickly doused it with a wave of cool logic. It's all about timing, right? I asked, my heart drumming against my ribs. If we slip in when he least expects it, Jordan nodded. Exactly, he thinks he is invincible. The flames flickered, creating shadows that danced around us like restless spirits. But he has no idea what we have planned. The night air thickened with anticipation, and I could feel the weight of my anger morphing into something tangible. It was intoxicating. You're really going through with this, aren't you? Jordan asked, concern etched in his features. You know this could change everything, he continued, eyes gleaming with worry as if he feared the tide would sweep me away. But the thought only fueled the fire inside me. It won't change anything worse than what has already happened, I admitted, my resolve crystal clear. I need him to feel just a fraction of what I felt. You think this will help, he pressed, that it will ease the pain. It was, in fact, a question I had asked myself 1,000 times since I had set this plan into motion. I nodded, though deep down, uncertainty lingered like an undercurrent I couldn't quite shake off. I chuckled darkly, rolling my shoulders back. I can't go on letting him win. I pushed the fear aside, focusing instead on the thrill of the moment. If I hold on to what happened, it'll just eat me alive. The lighthouse loomed above us, an imposing reminder of my purpose. The beam of light pulsed ominously, sweeping across the coastline like a predator seeking its prey. Okay then, Jordan said, his determination matching mine like a spark meeting kindling. Let's do this. As we made our way to the beach, the crunch of crushed shells underfoot played a soft symphony in the silence of night. I breathed in the scent of damp earth and sea, letting it swirl around me as I steeled my mind for what lay ahead. My heart raced, anticipation coiling tight in my chest. As the beach came into view, the moon shone down, illuminating the figures gathered around the bonfire. I could make out their faces, friends and allies who were willing to stand by my side in this chaotic affair. There they are, Jordan shouted, gesturing toward the group. I could hear their conversations rising and falling like the waves crashing against the shore, laughter mixed with urgency fueled by adrenaline. Walking closer, I felt the sparks of nervous energy surround us, each flicker of firelight casting its glow on my resolve. Men, gather round, I called out, my voice slicing through the chatter. The circle quieted as all eyes turned to me. You know why we're here. I didn't waste any breath shying away from the truth. I was here to reclaim my life. Marcus thinks he can play with our lives and get away with it. Well, tonight we show him he's wrong. The faint ocean breeze carried my words away, but I intended for them to linger in the air, a promise and a threat. What's the plan, Alina? One of the guys, Sam, shouted, his voice booming with enthusiasm. I want to see that punk eat dirt. The roar of approval from the other guys warmed my soul, igniting the fire within me. I glanced at Jordan, who gave me an encouraging nod. Okay, listen up, I commanded, my heart pounding fiercely. The moment Marcus walks down this pier, we move. A thrill skated across my skin, electrifying me as I went over the specifics, carefully painting the scene of our awaited execution. The plan unraveled before them like a map of revenge, each step calculated, and I reveled in their wide-eyed attention. I felt powerful, alive. Once he arrives, we create a distraction, I instructed, watching their faces light up with anticipation. That's when I move in. I took a deep breath, steadying my nerves. We want to keep him off balance, make him feel surrounded and isolated. It's time for him to know what it's like to be prey. Murmurs of agreement buzzed through the group, enthusiasm reaching a fever pitch. What happens if he retaliates? A cautious voice shouted from the back, though I could feel the undertone of challenge echoing in his question. I met his eyes and saw a mix of hesitation and doubt, but I pressed on. He won't expect this. That's our advantage. This is our moment. My heart swelled with the energy around me, a chorus of anger and vengeance synchronizing with my own. The fire crackled, sparks rising into the air like dreams waiting to be fulfilled. Once we rattle him, we show him we mean business. This is our chance. I'll take the first swing. Another voice piped up, eager to claim a piece of the action. I silenced them with a lift of my hand. This isn't just about physical confrontation. It's about sending a message. We disarm him, then we show him he can't escape the consequences of his actions. They nodded, a collective spark of understanding lighting up the group. So what's next? Jordan asked, bringing me back to focus as the fire flickered. We will wait, I replied, my voice steady as I looked at each of them in turn. We'll wait until he walks right into our trap. The night deepened around us, the stars winking in and out as clouds danced by, almost as restless as we were. I could feel the tides of destiny beginning to shift, crashing against the shores of my life like relentless waves threatening to shape the land. This was my road to balance, a route carved from tension, aching for resolution. As the minutes ticked by, the excitement grew palpable, flowing like a charge of electricity through the gathering, weaving bonds forged in a singular purpose. I shared a look of determination with Jordan, who promised to stay by my side, my unyielding ally in this tempestuous storm. The ocean's roar became a backdrop, its rhythm matching the beating of my heart. Pushing doubt aside, I let myself be consumed by the anticipation, steeling my heart for the confrontation that was inevitably approaching. I took another breath, wishing for courage as I willed the universe to align with my vengeful desires. All we needed was for Marcus to show up. The tide would change tonight. The salty wind rushed past me as I stood on the deck of my old sailboat, the Tempest. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a melting palette of oranges and reds across the sky, and I was filled with a mix of excitement and nervousness. Tonight was the night to confront Marco. Every step I had taken up to this point felt like a dazzling ballet of chance and calculated risks, each moment intersecting perfectly to bring us here. My heart thudded in my chest, and I could almost hear the echoes of my own determination ring through the rustling sails. I had been planning for this, and now it was finally time to see it through. It is just you and me, Marco, I whispered to myself, clenching my fists at my sides. The bitter taste still burned in my throat whenever I recalled the betrayal. The months that followed it had molded me into a vision of resolve, a woman willing to do anything to regain what had been taken from her. As I adjusted the sails, squinting against the dying light, I felt a rush of memories flood back. Each laugh felt like daggers thrown into my heart, each shared secret like poison seeping into my veins. Marco had once been my closest friend, the one person who knew my dreams and aspirations, the one who had pushed me to follow my passion for sailing. I let out a shaky breath, trying to silence the whispers in my head that told me this encounter could go wrong. It has to work, Alina. You have come too far to turn back now. The boat rocked gently on the waves, a soothing motion that contrasted with the storm brewing inside me. I glanced around the harbor. The usual bustle of boats returning home for the night had thinned. Shadows danced in the fading light. I could almost hear the whispers of the ocean waves encouraging me. It was strange to think that not long ago I would have welcomed Marco onto this very boat with open arms, but now it felt like this space belonged to me alone, a crown jewel I was ready to reclaim along with my dignity. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps echoed behind me, pulling my mind back to the present. I turned to see Marco approaching, and for a moment I felt my heart leap and then freeze in my chest. He looked different. The casual confidence that had once drawn people to him radiated like an unbearable light, but it was the emptiness in his eyes that chilled me. He wore a dark jacket, the collar turned up against the cool sea breeze, and his hands were stuffed deep in the pockets as if he were retreating from something. "Alina," he called, uncertainty lurking in his voice. "Did you think I would let you just walk away?" I challenged, my voice steady despite the tremor in my hands. I stepped away from the transom and crossed my arms defensively. The setting sun behind me transformed the world into a silhouette, and I felt the weight of the moment settle on my shoulders. He paused, surprise flickering across his face. "I wasn't sure you would come. I thought maybe you'd want to avoid me." The hesitation in his response held an odd blend of guilt and bravado, and I wondered what part of him still cared. "I wanted to see you, but only so I could say everything that's been on my mind," I replied, each word drawing tension taut in the air between us. "You might think I'm just going to let this go. You are wrong, Marco." He took a step closer, concern replacing the bravado. "Alina, before you say anything else, stop right there," I interrupted, anger welling inside me. "You think you can defend what you did to me. You betrayed me, Marco. You took everything good and twisted it. You made me lose my trust in everyone and everything, and now I find myself standing here, tuning my life for the moment that I could confront you for it." Marco's expression blurred with confusion. "You never gave me the chance to explain. It wasn't just me." He stepped forward again, the wind pushing his hair back. I could see his desperate attempt to draw closer, to reconnect, but I wouldn't allow him that opportunity. What could you possibly say that would make this right? I felt the heat rising in my chest, fury replacing any fleeting sentimentality I had once held for him. "You had your chance to explain before you decided to stab me in the back, and you squandered it. You didn't even stop to think about how it would ruin everything. I lost everything because of you. Things got out of hand," he pleaded, lifting his hands as if in surrender. "You were never meant to get hurt. You have to believe me. Believe you." I laughed harshly, the sound bouncing off the water's surface like shrapnel. "Believe was what got me here in the first place. How can I ever trust you again?" His expression shifted, frustration etched into the lines of his forehead. "I know that I have hurt you more than anyone ever has, but poring over it will only open wounds. I just want to move forward. Can't we start from a clean slate? Forward. You mean you want to sweep it all under the rug and act like nothing happened?" I took a step back, the distance between us a vast chasm I desperately wanted to bridge but couldn't. "I can't just forget it, Marco." The weight of his betrayal bore down on me like a storm gathering on the horizon. "Just hear me out." He raised his voice, the desperation revealing layers I hadn't anticipated. "I didn't get involved with them to hurt you. I was struggling, and they made me feel like I had options. It was never about you to me." His eyes shifted away as if unable to maintain my gaze, and that made me even angrier. "The moment you let them in, you made it all about me. You chose to leave me in the dark. You betrayed me with my work, my trust, and my friendships. Everything you did shattered me." I paused, the weight of my hurt nearly too much to bear. "Do you know what it's like to feel invisible in your own life?" He sighed, the sound so heavy it seemed to hang in the air between us. "No, I don't." "But if you'd only let me explain." "Explain?" I interrupted again, exasperation bubbling over. "What more is there to say, Marco? You chose your path, and it left me standing here in the wreckage. I had to piece things back together myself, and that took time. Your choices have consequences, and I refuse to be your therapist." "All right, I understand you're angry, but I've changed," he said, his voice softening, making him sound almost vulnerable. "Could have been easy for me to ignore you, to move forward without a thought about us. But here I am trying to make amends." "Make amends?" I asked, incredulous at the absurdity of his words. "You think talking it out is enough to fix this? Do you have any idea how many nights I cried myself to sleep because of you? Your pain matters to me," he insisted, his voice barely above a whisper now, and I could sense he was desperate to connect but was running out of options. "I just want to share my side." "Aren't you the least bit curious about why I did what I did?" "Curious?" I spat, shaking my head. "It feels more like you're trying to evoke sympathy after the fact. Your betrayal was calculated, and you hid behind excuses like a coward." The atmosphere thickened as he pinched the bridge of his nose, gathering his thoughts as he stood there, visibly shaken. I watched him, my heart torn between nostalgia and rage. Part of me wanted to reach out to forgive and let the past slip away, but the stronger part pulled me closer to the jagged edge I had been staying clear of for months. "Marco, you need to understand that you might not have meant to hurt me, but you did. I can't decide to rewind time. None of us can ever go back, no matter how much we want to." He took a shaky breath, and in that moment I could see the sheen of tears threatening to break free from his stern facade. I never wanted to lose you. I only saw shadows when I looked ahead, and I wanted to grab onto anything that felt like security. Security, I echoed, feeling another wave of anger surge through me. You thought dragging me into your lies, into schemes that could have stolen my dreams from me, added security. You have no idea how that feels, do you? To wake up every day wondering if everything you built will just collapse around you like a house of cards. His silence filled the space between us as our eyes locked, a storm brewing under the quaint facade. The wind seemed to carry the weight of everything unsaid, swirling around us like a living thing. He finally broke the tense silence, his voice quiet yet firm. And what if I told you I was still willing to pay for my mistakes? My heart raced as the implications of his words sank in. Pay. Is that even supposed to mean? Are you going to throw money at your guilt? That does not fix the broken trust, Marco. I just wanted you to be honest. There's no price tag for that. You think I don't understand that? His voice cracked. What I did got me wrapped up in a mess I never planned for or expected. I'm not trying to shortchange my guilt. I am still dealing with it. All I wanted was one chance to make it right. Just one opportunity to show you that I am not the man you remember. The moon peeked out from behind the clouds, casting a silver glow over the waves, and for a brief moment I could see the shadow of the man I once admired. You don't get it, do you? I said, my tone softening for just a moment in spite of myself. You can't propose fixing this with words alone. It will take action. It will take something beyond what you might think I want. I wanted friendship. I wanted trust. You took that. You need to earn it back. He took a step closer, our eyes never breaking contact, and I could feel the pull of something almost magnetic. So what do you say then? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. My heart thundered as I fought the urge to waver. Actions speak louder than words, and you need to demonstrate that you want to earn my trust back, I said firmly, my heart racing. I want you to show me that I can rely on you again. And how do I do that? He asked, so vulnerable that the pain radiating off him felt like a mirror reflecting my own tumultuous emotions. Tell me what it takes, and I will do everything in my power to prove I can be that person again. The waves crashed against the hull of the boat, almost drowning out my thoughts as I took a deep breath. You need to help me with the project. You remember the community center I was so passionate about. I am desperately trying to raise funds for it, and I think we could do it together. If you truly believe you want to make things right, then show me through your efforts. Let's work on something that will create a positive impact in the lives of others. If you want to rebuild your side of the bridge, it starts there. He blinked, surprise blooming on his features, and a flicker of energy surged in our atmosphere. You want to work on a community project together. Consider it a test, I said, trying to maintain my tough exterior while I struggled to keep my heart from fluttering at this unexpected turn. The project will take dedication and sincerity. It won't be easy, but if you truly want a second chance, you have to be all in. I promise, Alina, he said, and I could hear the weight of his earnestness. I want to do this. Just give me a direction, and I will show you how much effort I am willing to put into making it right. I regarded him for a long time, the rhythm of my heartbeat ramping up, laced with uncertainty. You know what my past has been. I need you to commit and be ready for the consequences of your decisions. I accept that, but please no more second guesses. I won't hide anymore, I swear it. I nodded slowly, feeling both cautious and hopeful. Then let's start somewhere, I said, the tension breaking like a wave crashing against the shore. We will meet every week to make plans. This project can bring us together in a new way. We will see where this leads, but I want a clean slate for the work. He looked at me, and in that moment I could see the flicker of resolve in his eyes. Thank you, Alina, he said softly. I will not let you down again. I'm ready to sail forward. Let's hope it's not another stormy night, I replied, a small smile creeping onto my lips as if the clouds had begun to part just a little. There was a strange kindred feeling in that moment. It was as if a bridge had begun to form across the great divide. As the stars began to twinkle in the deepening night sky, the boat gently rocked underfoot, and for the first time since that fateful day, I felt a glimmer of hope pierce through the heaviness of my heart. Together, I asked, extending my hand cautiously, the gesture a mix of challenge and invitation. Together, Marco replied, gripping my hand firmly as if to show me he meant it. In that shared moment, wrapped in twilight and tethered by trust, uncertain yet undeniably magnetic, I could feel the possibility of redemption beginning to fan out before us like sails unfurling in the wind.